Hey guys, this video is about cognitive dissonance, and I just wanted to, do a video to explain what that is. Someone did ask me to do this video, so it's somewhat of a viewer requested video, but it's definitely a topic that I wanted to, get into eventually anyway. So what is cognitive dissonance? Well, cognitive dissonance is when our mind is trying to process or make sense of two polar opposites or two conflicting perceptions, ideas, concepts, or something that could go against, our belief or what we thought we knew. So scientists have studied the brain and the mind, and apparently we don't like it when we're trying to manage two polar opposites at once. Either something is black or it's white, it's tall or it's short, it's skinny or it's fat, it's left or it's right, it's up or it's down. We don't like all of these polar opposites. So what our mind tries to do at that point is make sense of it in some shape or form. So either we will shift our perceptions, we will shift our belief, or we will adapt basically a different way of seeing something. We have to do something mentally to make it make sense again. So how can I relate this to narcissistic abuse? This is what happens. We're having cognitive dissonance basically when those inconsistencies start popping up, and they're severe. Let's say, one day after the narcissist has been love bombing you for several months and telling you how much they love you, you go out and the evening just seems to go to the left, and the narcissist looks you in the eyes and says, "I can't stand your ass," like this brutal, icy stare, and you're looking at this person, and it's the polar opposite of them telling you that they love you. So right then and there, you're thinking, I thought this person loved me, but they just said something, pretty harsh to me. And like they looked, looked in their eyes, and that looked pretty serious there. So your mind is trying to figure out, does this person love me or not? And maybe that wasn't a strong enough example, you know. Perhaps you had a wedding and someone left you at the altar, like that would certainly, and then not only they leave you at the altar, but then they tried to come back around. And this actually has happened to people in real life, and I watched this situation on this TV show. It was real. This guy left her at the altar and then came back a few days later talking about he never wanted a big wedding and all this other stuff. I told you I didn't want a big wedding, and they ended up going to the justice of the peace. But I'm like, that girl had a lot of cognitive dissonance to be able to make sense of that. Like, if this is how he wanted to handle the situation, you're talking to her all the way up until the day of the wedding, and then you just don't show up. It's not like he's like the day before, or a week before, or a month before. Look, I think we shouldn't. Like, you're going along with it pretty much. And then now, I told you I didn't want a big wedding. And wow, that took some cognitive dissonance right there for her to make sense of that. So, but, this is what's happening when we're dealing with a narcissist and we're going through this cycle of the abuse, because whatever they're doing in that love bomb phase is definitely not happening in the devalue phase. So we're using our cognitive dissonance to try to make sense of the gap, because that's night and day right there. And, that's just in a romantic relationship setting. People could be dealing with narcissists in their family life, your mother, your father, any relative. And you're basically trying to figure out, does my mom really love me? Like, she's never there for me. And then boom, one day she gives you this expensive coat or something, something monetary. You're like, well, it's a gift, So your mind is just trying to bridge the gap between all the abuse that you suffer, and now you're getting me nice things. So this is cognitive dissonance. Anytime there's two conflicting polar opposites basically going on. You know, like someone's acting like they love you 1 minute and then they're trying to kill you. Like, wait a minute, and then this creates a lot of toxicity, because now when you're doing things like cognitive dissonance, this is furthering your bond with the person when you're staying with them anyway, because in essence, you're making an excuse for that negative behavior if you're using the cognitive dissonance to allow you to be able to stay in that situation, you know? So it's very unhealthy as far as, you know, if you're using it to make it make sense in a way that you would stay in the abuse, basically. But it's just the way our minds are set up when we have these polar opposite things going on and we want to make sense of it. So it's an automatic thing that our mind is going to do to try to make sense of it. Now, which way is it going to go? That's going to depend on your desires deep down inside. If you really didn't want to let go of that narcissist, then you're going to use cognitive dissonance to make it go in that favor, and where that would allow you to stay in the situation. Okay? So it's somewhat of an enabler. It could be used as an enabler to justify staying in abusive situations. And you'll be bridging the gap in the favor of, you know, leaning towards to stay. Okay, guys? So I hope that brings a little clarity, at least, to what cognitive dissonance is. All right? Until next time, take care.